Hey guys, it's Jessica. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be picking my December TBR. So I have decided to do something a little bit different this time for my TBR. I usually start out with a trip to the library, and this month you will notice I am not going to the library, and that's because I am going to shop my very own bookshelves. That is right. We are doing a read what you own. I don't want to call it a challenge because I'm definitely not gonna be that strict with it, but read what you own in December. Close out the year by finishing some of those books that you meant to get to earlier in the year and you didn't. That's my plan. If you would like to join me, I did create 5 categories that are very loose that you can choose books for or not, but let me tell you what they are right now. We have a book you have been saving all year, a book that you meant to get to earlier in 2025, a book that you bought this year, an ebook that has been sitting on your reader forever, and a short book that you can finish in a day because it's kind of a busy time with so much stuff going on at this time of year. So what I'm planning to do today is I'm going to take you all to my bookshelves and we are going to go through them shelf by shelf and pick out some books that I think I might like to get to in the month of December, and then see if any of them fit any of those categories. I will tell you all that I know some people keep their unread books in a totally separate bookshelf for a different part of their bookshelf, and I would like to claim that I am that person, but I am not. I have read most of the books that you see immediately behind me, but beyond that, they could be anywhere. So let me go grab my other camera and I'm just going to take you all to the bookshelves and we will see what we find. All right, so I am back from going through all my shelves. I have pulled a completely unreasonable stack of books. I think it's a pretty good assortment. It's probably a little bit fantasy heavy because I own a lot more fantasy than anything else, but that's okay. December feels like a magical month, so we could do a lot of fantasy. I'm not gonna be mad about that. And so what I'm gonna do right now is I'm going to go through the books that I pulled, and I'm gonna tell you why it is that I think I bought this book and why I think I might like to read it now. And then we're going to try to fit those books into those 5 categories and pick some others that just seem like they're going to feel right for me for December. So I'm going to start out. I have a stack in my lap right now. And we're going to start out with one that I'm sure you laughed at me when I pulled off the shelves. And that is Stephen King's 11/22/63. And it is, in fact, the 22nd of November as I am filming this video. And so I just felt like it felt like the right thing to do. Now, I started this book once upon a time. I don't think I got very far before I don't know why I set it down. I think I tried to read it in 2020. That wasn't a good year for reading for me. So this book is extremely long. It is, let's see, about 840 pages long. And it does have exceptionally large margins, but that's not necessarily making me feel better. I love Stephen King. I would consider myself to be a Stephen King fan. But I've been avoiding reading this one because it's so long. But I could certainly possibly give it a start, so we'll think about that. Next, I pulled A History of What Comes Next by Sylvain Neuvel. This is a alternate history, how we developed spaceflight kind of thing. It's a trilogy. I actually own all 3 books because I got them from as library discards. And I love the cover of this, I think is primarily why I bought it. To be honest, I really love the cover. I think I saw it on somebody else's channel. It might have been Elizabeth at Plant-Based Bride. That feels right. And I thought, oh, when I saw it at the library store, I was like, I'm going to pick this up. But I am currently reading another book from this author on audiobook. I am listening to Sleeping Gods, which is a book that I would highly recommend reading on audiobook if you're going to do it, because the whole thing is in transcript form. This one looks to be slightly weirdly formatted as well. And I don't know if that might be a style that this author frequently has, but now that I'm like looking inside it, I don't feel like this one's going to be for this month. So probably not this one. Next, we have The Djinn Bot of Shantyport by Samit Basu. This is a kind of like a robot space sci-fi retelling of the story of Aladdin. And I have been dying to read this ever since I first heard about it. And I'm feeling like, this could be a good time to read it. Yeah, seen nothing but good stuff. This one, I think this is also a discarded library book. You're going to see a theme in here with a lot of these. I'm really excited to read this one. This one's a possibility. The Trader Baru Cormorant. This is by Seth Dickinson. It has a really striking cover, a lot of face. And then my favorite thing about it is it just has a quote on the cover. It says, "Breathtaking NPR." I think that's funny for some reason. But this is supposed to be a really interesting and unusual fantasy series. I know that it is a highly, highly political fantasy, and I don't know that much about it other than that. I have heard really good things, though, and I've been wanting to read it. This is a pretty recent purchase for me, so if I'm looking for books that I've been meaning to read, this is not going to be it, but that doesn't mean that I might not want to read it soon, but I'm going to think about it. And then I have Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This is a young adult fantasy series that I have had several people who watch my channel recommend to me as something they thought I would really like. This, again, is a recent pickup. It's not one that's been on my shelves forever, but it looks, it's just such a pretty color. I don't know. Looks so good and a little bit different from some of the other fantasy I'm thinking about, so I'm going to hold on to that one. Next, I have something that is from my list of authors I want to read before the end of 2026, and I feel like we can go ahead and get started. And I have The Ninth Reign by Jen Williams because I own it, and I've been meaning to read it, and I haven't. And I just feel like it'd be great. This one, people say it has vampire elves. I don't know. It's got a blue cover. Blue feels like December to me for reasons that I can't really explain. So that one is a possibility. Then we got some horror. I picked up The Place Where They Buried Your Heart by Christina Henry. I got this in my aardvark box this past month. It is a horror book about a woman who has her brother go missing when they're both very young, and she ends up living in the same neighborhood many years later after she's married and has children. And it's about, I think, going back to that same house and maybe figuring out what happened to her brother. But it looks like it's going to be really scary. Again, obsessed with this cover. And I do want to make sure I'm not buying books from subscription boxes and then not reading them. So I think this one looks great. And I don't so far have anything else horror on my pile, so that one's going to stay. I have a book that I have definitely been saving to read in the wintertime at some point. That is The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden. This is the first book in the Winter Night trilogy. And I have read one book by Katherine Arden before. I read, I can't remember what it's called right now, but it's the one that's set during World War I, and I quite enjoyed it. It wasn't a 5-star for me, but I thought the writing was really pretty, so I am interested in reading her trilogy. So this one is going to go in the maybe. And then I have a book by an author I haven't read. This is The Conductors by Nicole Glover. So it's about the Underground Railroad in the pre-Civil War United States and about some conductors on the Underground Railroad who were leading people to freedom using the magic of the stars and constellations, is what it says on the back of the book. There is a new book in the same universe coming out in January this year by this author that looked really good. I don't know how many books are in this series. I have the first 2. If there are 3, I don't have that one, but I have the other 2. And so I feel like I ought to get started on this one. And I don't know if I said this, I have given myself complete freedom to start series if I want this month, because part of the reason I don't read books I own sometimes is because they start a series. And I don't want to have too many series, but you know what? I'm just going to have a lot of series, and that's going to be fine. Then a few more books here. I have a adorable piece of magical realism from Japan. This is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. And you've all heard of this book. This is little short stories that all have some kind of a moral or a message, where you've got people in this magical coffee shop where I think you can revisit your past. Is that right? Yes. There's time travel, but you can only travel through time for as long as it takes for your coffee to get cold. So I've had this one a while, and I've been reading a little bit of books that I don't know what you call this genre, some that are in the genre, and I have been enjoying it. So I'm going to consider possibly reading this one, although I'm not really sure if I want to put it on the TBR or not. It is quite short though. Then another book that I was saving to read in the winter only because it has snow on the cover, and it's by one of my favorite authors. And this is a novella by Adrian Tchaikovsky called "And Put Away Childish Things." Look at that wintry cover. On the back it says, "All roads lead to Underhill, where it's always winter and never nice." And this is about a man who had a famous grandmother. She was famous for writing a series of books that I think were very much like Narnia. As you can see, there is a wardrobe. And then he finds out one day it might have been real. And that's what I know about this. And I've been saving it. So this is probably going to be definitely on the TBR. It's, again, not very long, but I have been looking forward to it, and I've been avoiding it. Then I have a book that I own, all 3 books in the series, and this one just looks fun. It's kind of, I think, a comedic space opera. This is called Chilling Effect by Valerie Valdez. This is a kind of funny story about a space captain and her crew. And in her cargo hold, she has a bunch of psychic cats. And I know people have told me that if you expect the book to just be about the psychic cats, you're going to be disappointed, but I'm willing to try it. Let's see, how am I doing? I've still got some more. I have Classic by Lois McMaster Bujold. I have The Curse of Chalion. So I have read 2 books by Bujold before. I read the first 2 books, the first 2 books that she recommends that you read in the Vorkosigan saga, the 2 books that follow Cordelia. And I didn't really love them. I wanted to love them very much, but I did struggle with them a little bit. But I am interested in reading some of her fantasy, because I have not done so, because I did not have a problem with her writing. There were just some things within those books themselves that I did not love. So this one is very much a classic. I know it's the first in a series. So again, like everything else that I'm probably going to put on my TBR this month. And I picked up, because why not? I picked up The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. Okay, so I have only read The Devils by Joe Abercrombie, and I think I enjoyed it more than most people did. I quite enjoyed it, actually. After the first little bit, it took a while to get going for me, but I did end up really loving that book. But what I liked about it was primarily the character work, and people say, well, if you liked his character work in that, you're going to really love his character work in his other series, which are much more serious. So I really want to start this one and see how I feel about it. And I've had it on my shelves. I think I bought it toward the beginning of this year, and I haven't even touched it or put it on a single TBR or anything. So thinking about that. Starting another series, why not? This is The Blighted Stars by Megan O'Keefe. This is the start of a trilogy, a science fiction space opera story. It says, stranded on a dead planet, forced to ally with her mortal enemy, survival is the only option, in the first book of this stunning widescreen space opera trilogy. So I really want to read this. I've heard that it's kind of like romantic sci-fi, like there's a romance in it, but it's still a really, really good space opera story. And that sounds honestly kind of perfect. So this is a real possibility. We have a short book. I made sure to pick a short book because I had that category. I picked Silver in the Wood by Emily Tesh. You're not going to be able to see that because it's so dark. It's got a lovely cover. And this is a little fantasy novella. I mean, it is so short. It is 109 pages. And I don't know what it's about, but Emily Tesh is an author who I have really, really been enjoying. I've read, I think, both of her main novels that are out. The Incandescent, which I read this year, is a book that I would highly recommend that you check out. I just loved everything about it. So I would like to read this novella. I've heard good things about it, and I own a copy because I went to a bookstore and I felt bad because they didn't have the book I was looking for, but then I was in the indie bookstore and I was the only one there, so I bought this. All right, and then something that feels like it's going to be warm and cozy for when I'm sure we're going to have 5 Feet of Snow at some point in December. This is The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. If I'm going to read a cozy book, I have seen a lot of people reading this one lately. I know the second book just came out, and also I've had several people recommend it to me personally. Books that are marketed as cozy don't always work for me because sometimes they can be a little bit too plotless, but I would like to try this one because it's got an adorable cover and there's a cat on the cover. I don't know if there's a cat in the book. Cats are always plus for me. So that's a maybe. I have Clara and the Sun by Ishiguro. I haven't actually read this one, and I feel like I should have. This is a really cool edition. I just really love this edition that I picked up. I think it's a UK edition. I love this one. This is a robot story, an android story about a little girl android, I believe. And I know it's probably gonna make me cry. I can already feel it coming. Possible. And then I have just two more here. I do have a couple of things that I don't have, that I have on my Kobo, because I made that category. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. But I do have The Deep Sky by Yumi Kitase. I have read The Stardust Grail, which is this author's second book, which is like Indiana Jones in space, like archaeology in space. This is I think it's a locked room mystery in space, is how I have seen it described. I really enjoyed that book. It wasn't like a 5-star read for me, but I really enjoyed her writing. So I'm thinking I could read this one. And then the last one I pulled was Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This is a very famous young adult trilogy. I don't read a lot of young adult these days, but this one is one I've been meaning to read since it came out, and I'm still really curious. So now the question is, do I take all these books and separate them out into those that would start a series and those that wouldn't? You know what? I don't think I do. I think we're just gonna go by vibe. And before that, I'm going to talk about a couple of books that I know are going to be on my TBR. The first one is going to be Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. And that is because I have this book coming in the mail. It's actually on its way to me right now. I just don't have it physically in my hands because I am in the Broken Binding Fantasy subscription. And this is their December book, I believe. And I'm really excited to read this. This is described, I saw a lot of people talking about how it feels like the Blues Brothers, like we're getting the band back together. I think it sounds super fun, and I am really excited to read that one. So that one is most definitely on the TBR. I will be reading that in December. And then I do have my Kobo here, and I'm going to try to find a book that I have owned on here for a really long time, or one that I have on my Kindle that I haven't transferred over, but let me see. Okay, so this is funny, but we're actually going to be able to pull one of the books I have on my physical shelf off and put it on the list, because for book that I have had on my e-reader for a long time, actually, I think the first book I ever bought from the Kobo store, as opposed to Amazon's Kindle store, was a copy of The Ninth Reign by John Williams. I can't check this out from my library because they don't have a copy. But they are for sale on Kobo, so I did pick up a copy on there. So I do have it on my e-reader, and I have the physical copy. So I do think this one is definitely going to be on the TBR. So remember, Vampire Elves. That's all I know. It's going to be good. Start of a series. Should we keep a running tally of how many series I'm going to start in this TBR? Because that's 2. 2 books, 2 series. Okay. Okay. Going to definitely read that one. And then for book that I can finish in a day, of course, I already told you all, it's going to be Silver in the Wood by Emily Tesh. Little teeny tiny short novella. I'm so excited to get to read it. It has a quote on the backs. The quotes on the back are from Jen Lyons and Seal Polk, both great writers, and I am so excited to read this one. So that's book number 3, and guess what? It's not starting a series, so winning. Then we have a book that I purchased in 2025, which is actually going to be quite a few of these books, so let me just pick one of them for that. Okay, for that, I am going to go with The Blighted Stars by Megan O'Keefe. Sci-fi, romantic sci-fi space opera. Feels perfect. So excited to get it read. This one is a pretty recent purchase, so 2025 purchase, so that's book number 4, and it is starting a series, so we're up to 3 series. Next, we have a book I have been saving all year, and that one is going to be And Put Away Childish Things by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This one's been on another TBR, and I think I decided that I wanted to read it when it was cold outside because of the snow on the cover, although I'm not that much of a seasonal reader, but for some reason I was like, oh no, snow, I can't do it. So this one is going to go on there, and it does not start a series. A book I had been meaning to read all year and haven't is going to be The Deep Sky. I've read her other books since then, but I haven't read this one yet. So The Deep Sky by Yumika Tasei. This is a space opera. It's about a generation ship with the last hopes of humanity upon it. And then there is a murder, and we've got to solve it. So that sounds good to me. Excited for that. So that's all 5 categories that I talked about. So now the rest of the TBR, I'm just going to fill out with the things that just are speaking to me the most while I'm making this video. And then I'll tell you which ones. All right, and I picked, so that was 5 books, and I'm gonna pick 6 more? 6 more. I have 6 more here. So I picked Strange the Dreamer, which just, I don't know, feels like something I just want to pick up and read right now. Young adult fantasy. Again, not really something I read a lot now, but I feel like I'm going to enjoy that. And I picked up The Jimbot of Shantyport, which is, of course, that robot retelling of Aladdin. Amazing. And I did, guys. I did pick up The Blade itself. So we'll see if I get to it this month or not. This is another series start. I think that's 4 series. I actually thought it would be worse. So 4 series. I'm going to add that one. The Bear and the Nightingale. I've been saving all year. I guess I could have said that about it too, that I've been saving it, but heard amazing things about this series. Clara and the Sun by Ishiguro. This is going to be something that I expect to be very emotional. Really looking forward to that. And last, The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. Cozy, because it's the season, you know? It's just the time that makes me want to be snuggly. Also, I have some distinctly non-snuggly things on here. Joe Abercrombie, not so much. I feel like this is a really good mix. I'm really excited by it. All right, so I feel like that's a really good mix of books. I'm pretty excited about it. If you are interested in joining me and reading books from your shelves in the month of December, please let me know what you think you might read. I would absolutely love to have some company and hear what you all are reading also. I think this is going to be a great thing to do at the end of the year, maybe like a yearly tradition, kind of a reset. I read so many new releases that sometimes I don't read everything that I already have on my shelf that I obviously bought wanting to give it a try. So I'm really excited for that. I think this is going to be an absolutely fantastic set of books, and I hope that you all will stick around and see how many of them I actually read. Go ahead and leave me a comment and let me know what's going to be on your December TBR. And if you are thinking about joining me and reading some books on your shelves, I'm not going to be strict about it. If you want to read something that's not on your shelves, that's also fine, because we are just having a good time and reading some good books here. But go ahead and leave me a comment and let me know. And if you're feeling quiet, go ahead and leave me the snowflake emoji, because that is perfect for a December TBR. And with that, I hope you all have a fantastic day. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.